Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our podcast today, our show for project managers and PMO leaders and program managers. Today we have Anita Ginyard-Rogers as our guest, and I'll let Anita to briefly introduce herself.
Hello. I have been about 20 some years in program and project management. And included in that is time with NPR, where I set up and led a PMO in that time period. And in the last year, I have worked with a firm called AI Innovision, and they're a fast growing women's owned AI consulting and education company. And their focus is on practical AI adoption for businesses. I became an AI certified consultant. So that's my background, my long term background. I started out as a software developer. So there you go.
Thank you. Well, a lot of us started as software developers. There was a lot of software developers back in the day, and
Yes.
especially when the dot com. I mean, I have a lot of friends who had no idea how to be a software developer. They all become a software developers, and I was like, well, that was weird. That was weird. Interestingly enough, I am from the musicians family, and guess what? My sister and I are all in tech right now. Well, she's very technical, and she's much more musician than me. But oddly enough, it's interesting how everybody become developers. But I think it's even more interesting that it's happening now. Like all of us are looking into AI as something that is wow. Um, some people are looking at this as like trying to figure out how to deal with that. Some people are trying to deal with that. Some people are getting certified like you. So like
Yes.
what how did you end up going and getting the certification, and how did you get to start using AI and get your work and professional life associated with that, if you don't mind?
Well, at first I was when I left NPR, I had just started playing with AI, but I didn't know anything about it. But when I started working with this AI firm, and they certified people and they were teaching all about AI, I could see like the benefit of it. And actually, I love it now. So it was really interesting, and I could see how productive it was. And so that's how I got involved in it. And it was really through a friend who I met. Got involved through this company, and they hired me for some of the work, and I um, just saw the value, and I saw the value for project management, for operations, for business, and also realized you don't have to be technical, to be able to use AI. So that's how I got involved with it.
If you don't mind, I'm very curious to first of all learn about the NPR just from the overall perspective, and then obviously how'd you guys use AI in the NPR? If you can open that box from you.
Actually, AI came about in NPR at the time when I was leaving. Unfortunately for me, the division that I was in, we did not get funding. So 20% of my department was let go. So that's, when I left. But NPR had started looking at at AI just before I left. And they were looking at how they would be using AI in NPR. So I don't know the full way that NPR looked at it. I know that they are using it now, but I am not necessarily the person that can talk.
So how well, based on your now consulting experience as well as AI certifications. What other companies are struggling with as far as AI? Do they ask for AI, or AI just kind of coming on top of them, or is it both? Like, well, what is going on? What do you see in companies that you work?
So I think that a lot of people ask about tools. So they ask, we want these tools to that will help us to make processes easier. They want tools that, and they just provide these tools to their people to go ahead and use and make things easier. But I think that's a mistake. I think what companies need to do is to first start with their problem. Like, what is the big problem? Where are their bottlenecks? And then once they do that, then they can apply the appropriate tool that is that AI presents. One of the I recently had a conversation with one of my friends who works with a company who said, "I need you to go learn about. I'll give you 4 different tools to learn, but you can choose 3 of them." And but one of the things I thought was smart about at least what the company did is they said, okay, well, you can learn these tools, but this is what it will do for your job. And so they gave an explanation at least for those particular tools. But I think that's exactly the issue is that it's not about just giving you tools. It's like, how is it going to really help you in the company? And what is that going to look like? So, and I can give you an example at AI InnoVision where we found the tool really did make a difference. So, one of the processes that we had, so becoming an AI certified consultant, there are 3 assessments that people had to take. And those assessments in the back and internally, there was one person who was managing those. But this company was growing crazy, and more and more people wanted to become certified consultants. So it was taking longer and longer for these assessments to be done. Um, and actually, there was GBTs that were being used to process them, but it was
GBT,
still
GBT. What is GBT?
oh, okay. So that's in Chat GPT. Then you could yes. So
GPT. Okay, sorry.
GPTs, yes.
I thought you said GBT, and then my God, there's many. At some point of my career, I stopped being shy of asking, like, what is this acronym? What is this acronym? Because when I'm young, you may think like I just don't know anything, but turns out nobody knows any of these acronyms, and it's okay not to know. So go ahead, Chat GPT. Got it. Yeah.
Yes. So
Mm.
so there are these GPTs that were created so that you could actually put in the assessment and it would come out with the form that you needed. It would come out with telling you if it, was good or not good so we were able to use those type of processes, but it was still not enough. So what happened is that there was one person on this process. So then we wound up adding a second person on this process, which was me, and then a third person. And it was just continuing to grow and just become out of hand. And so the owner took Lovable, created a automated process, um, and put that out so that the actual customers could do everything they needed to there. There was still one process that still needed a little bit of manual help, but they could submit everything there. They could get immediate feedback. And then it allowed for this one person to be able to manage the process, and then 2 of us to go and help some of the other programs. So the real outcome was that it released 2 of us that where we were able to serve other programs, which was really needed. And so that was like amazing that was able to occur just by automating that one process with
So the
Lovable.
ROI, return on investment, was the two employees, two FTEs,
Yes.
right? Two full-time equivalents.
Yes.
Okay, well that's a good ROI. It's a good
Yes.
ROI.
So it was that, but one of the things it did not do is there were still there were still some operational issues, but it at least allowed for the one person who was managing all of the initially managing all of the assessments. It freed her up also to be able to do a little bit more coaching, to do more communications, to do more of that kind of thing, to figure out all the things surrounding those folks who needed that kind of assistance, more of the human part. So it wasn't just that it just freed up those two people. It also added the value that the person who managed the process could provide the type of services that was really needed from a human perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. The lovable, right? The vibe coding
Mm-hmm.
tool. These things are so cool.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. Um, do you think so? It helped with the training, basically, right? You said that the onboarding certification, the training. We just had a conversation recently, yesterday, with Robert, and we talked about the training and the whole thing about AI and training, and
Uh-huh.
it's looks like instead of having people go through the training, like classic training, go and read this, answer questions, read again another chapter, answer questions, and people just click through. And if you're good at clicking and remembering the answers, you can game this training to a degree. I mean, obviously you remember something about it, but it's not necessarily making me an expert in that space that I'm learning. Um, with and as you're right, what's the problem? What was the reason for me going through this training? The reason for me going through this training is to have the ability to work with software, for example, or to know how to work with software and know how to work with forms. Know why do I need to put this type of information while I'm answering those questions in those forms. So now with AI, I don't have to necessarily go through the training, which is sort of a not the most efficient way of spending time, which is you have to spend time on going through the training. I can right there and then while I'm at it, I can use help of AI to explain me contextually what is it I'm looking at, what should I be thinking about, and maybe what are
Uh-huh.
those what is the knowledge I need to have at the moment in order to do something. Well, that's the value, and the more of these points in the operations are there, the more I need to know about everything, and it's impossible to for me to know everything at all at any given time. So my question to you then: do you think that the whole training concept is changing with AI? And will we need? And I appreciate going through the AI certification and training, but isn't it really changing completely on how we learn and how we do training and how do we onboard people at work with AI? What do you think?
Well, I think about this, and I'm thinking about when I have been onboarding people as well at AI Innovision, and what's been available for them to use to be onboarded. So there are a couple different ways, right? For onboarding, there is where they're in group and we talk through onboarding and what has to happen in the program. There is a video where people can look at the training and just understand what happens in a program. And then there's a written, where it's written down. And what I found is that all three of those methods are still needed. So not everybody learns everything the same way. You have to have training or learning in a variety of different ways still. So it does change things, but I think it changes things in a really great way, because now it allows those who can go through the click, click, click videos and get it all, they can do that. And by the way, that's kind of the way that the AI consultant certification is that it's videos, but then you have to actually do work. So you see the videos and then you have to go and learn how to do it by actually doing it.
Yeah.
So I think that it 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 makes it better. I think training has changed in that you have a variety of ways that you're trained, that you're onboarded, and it's really up to leadership and those that have been SMEs to think about how you incorporate all of that. Um, I think that might be what changes, is having a variety of ways of doing it.
Yeah. Uh, I think, there's with the training and knowledge itself, there's only so much. Look, I mean, look at this. We're living, well, arguably thousands of years collective knowledge, probably more, right? At
Mhm.
the subconscious level of memory, of the way uh, we carry over the knowledge and science from generation to generation. That has been happening for, let's just say, for a long time, right? And at any given time, we are living and actively pursuing, participating in technological evolution and development, and we're advancing time after time. So the modern science needs to, has collected all the knowledge that we have collected over the thousands of years, right? And
Mhm.
now it's getting heavier and heavier, right? The next generation will have to carry whatever we developed, and on top of what we have inherited, right, from previous generations. So in other words, I don't know, maybe our brain, has obviously more capacity, but I don't believe that, especially newer generations, where we have so many devices and the amount of information floating into our brain is crazy. It's crazy,
Mhm.
right? So that inevitable inevitably leads to some new ways to learn, some new ways to process the information. Even though we have the information, we have to process this information as humans. So thankfully, AI will take care of some of that processing for us, right?
Yes.
Um, and where I'm headed with this is basically the way we need to prioritize the information that we need to deal with is changing. And the reason for that is our podcast here is to actually to have two human interaction that can produce some of these ideas, some of these thoughts that we're creating as we speak here, right? That is something that we need to be accumulating, because the rest of it is AI. The rest of it AI can handle, right? Like if we just say, okay, well, let's plan on doing something, and we can probably have AI to kind of take care of some of that largely, or all of it sometimes. That's why I think the old way of and I hate saying that, reading books is overrated. It's not, but it is, and I understand obviously there's a value in focusing and getting the information. There's certain thought process that you would read from those sources, but I think there's a much more opportunity out there to get this valuable information for us to be able to process, because we only have limited time on this earth to process this information and to do something with it. And
Yeah.
what do we do with it? It's up to us.
Yes, and I agree. I think that there are no longer things that we need to figure out and think about because of AI. But do I think that we should not do some of it because we don't necessarily have to? I think that books are still important, and I think it's because of the process of our own being able to think through things and to focus. It's more from our own brains and our own focus. I think AI also provides a way for us to be more creative and to think further and to help. AI can be a partner for us, a strategic partner, and again help us to think further along on things. But I do think it's also important that we do continue to read and continue to do those specific type of focus. I think in the morning, for instance, you want to get up and you want to do some kind of a meditation with books. You want something that continues your ability to be able to do that. People who are the kids who are coming up, it's really important they be able to read and to focus and to learn ABCs, to do all of those things. That's still important. But I think as we do get older and we get into college and we get later on, that the information, AI is going to know it. And we may not necessarily have to read about it. AI is going
Yeah.
to know a lot of the analysis, and AI is going to know a lot of all the details and all of the things that you're talking about. Yes. So,
Yeah, it's almost like I don't need to know how the car works,
no.
right? I just need to get from point A to point B. That's all and more so, I need to know where I'm going, right? Because now my job is to know. Okay, I'm going to the car. I need to go there, right? And you need to know where you're going. You don't need to know how the car engine spins the wheels, or it's electric or combustion engine. I don't need to know all of this, right? I mean,
Right.
it's today is almost like a given, right? You can ask people. There's a joke about the cars. The cars used to have a manual where it says how to change the antifreeze. Now cars have a manual where it says do not drink antifreeze. So I mean, people really don't know what's inside or what's under the hood. I mean, we used to know everything what's under the hood, but now we don't need to. And the same with AI. Certain things that are there, you have to spend all your life, as a study engineering to know how the neural network work, networks work in order to really understand what's going on behind it. I need to know how I can use this to advance my business, right? To advance
Yes.
to create value. And I think this is what our brains are going to be free from doing, is to clog our memory with information that we don't really need. And that's why I didn't want to come out as someone who doesn't like books. Just want to throw it out there. But some people just don't learn like this. Some people learn from podcasts. Some people
Yes.
learn from listening to books, right? Some people learn from experiences and things like that. And hopefully, this is learning experience. Not all the experiences are learning experiences, but um, um, I think what we need to really focus on is what to do with it.
Yes, exactly. I agree. It's the focus is what to do with it. And I think that's the value of AI. That's the transformational piece of it, right? It's not it's not that AI is transformational. It's what comes out of using AI that's transformational. it's that value piece. So I agree, and that's what I see too. Um, is 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 what comes out of it. Um, One of the things that I created with because I'm always playing with tools just so I understand how it works and so I can help someone myself. And I too was playing with Lovable, and I created an invoice system just for myself
Mm-hmm.
for when I was working with AI InnoVision, and I was able to provide them invoices. But at first, it was very simple. But I kept asking questions like, okay, well, this is an invoice system. Can you compare it to others? What am I forgetting? And what is it that I am missing? What's not included here? And oh, can you add release notes? So it was that kind of thing. But I didn't have to think about my coding anymore, right? I didn't have to think about all of the testing anymore because it did the testing. It was the tester. So what came out of that is I now had this valuable piece, this valuable program, but I did not have to hire all the people I usually would need to do this valuable piece.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A lot of people use Lovable, Replit, a couple other Base 44,
yeah,
other systems. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do with this technology. Claude coding,
yeah,
and most of
yep,
them actually use Claude in the back. You still probably need engineering if you're engineering something more complex for
yes,
enterprise or something like
yes,
that. But you're right. I mean, the amount of work you would have to do for coding is very is shrinking. The amount of work is shrinking that you need to do in order to code that thing. You need to think more of what you need to do and what you're expecting it to do, features and whatnot. Um,
yes.
so as far as that, what would be your recommendation, or your favorite uh, AI application in project management?
Oh
Um,
boy.
or program. I mean, you've been running program management and larger programs, many projects. Knowing what AI can do now.
Yes. So when I was at NPR, we used Jira and Confluence. And I don't know, I'm sure there's an AI component there now, with those. I have not used those in a while. But I recently, just from a smaller perspective, I've used Notion, just in terms of which is very easy to use from project management. I've used Monday um, um, from a smaller aspect as well. Um, but I wonder if I might use something that was a little bit more of a system and something more of where I would speak into it what I needed a little bit. Something that was more holistic, I guess, is what I'm saying.
You're probably talking about Friday Report that AI that you haven't tried
Of
yet,
course.
but yeah, I think I just read an article about general SaaS and how troublesome SaaS companies are right now in terms of figuring out how to deal with everybody's building their own stuff, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
building agents, everybody's building things, and especially the SaaS that is doing certain things on the surface. It's gonna be very hard to stay in business, unless you provide a platform that can holistically provide
Uh-huh.
service across the operations. So that is very interesting, dynamic on the market, but we'll leave it for another day. Anita, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your thoughts and the experience that you shared with us and our viewers. We appreciate you. very much.
Thank you, Alex.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.